Hi, I'm Anne Pollard, and this is the reading of my book, Cleo's Fabulous Adventures, The Realm of the Woods, Chapter 4, Barachiel the Butterfly. Bacchus turned slowly to Cleo, his gold eyes sparkling in the sun that was shining down through the forest canopy. Cleo looked at Bacchus, captivated by his eyes. It was mesmerizing to stare at him, his golden eyes swimming in a pool of deep black fur. It was as if he could see right through her, down into her soul. It was intimidating and comforting all at the same time. Bacchus said, "Well, Cleo, what did you think of Ariel?" Cleo thought for a moment, then said, "She was very wise and commanding in a loving sort of way. I felt very encouraged by what she said, but I don't know how to call on her when I feel like I need help. She said I could call on her, but how do I do that?" Bacchus twitched his whiskers into a subtle smile. "It's quite easy, you see. I will teach you how." He gracefully sat down and invited Cleo to come sit beside him. His long, soft tail wrapped around his body as a new sense of calm seemed to emanate from his entire being. He closed his eyes as he spoke. "Sit quietly for a moment and close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths, and as you breathe in, feel yourself move from your mind into your heart. You can place your hands over your heart to help you know that's where you're moving your thoughts. Breathe from the core of your body and feel your chest expand and contract. With each breath, relax and let go of any tightness in your body. Feel your shoulders soften, your brow release, and feel any tension wash out of your body. Then use your inner senses to see her, hear her, and feel her. Everyone has their own way of connecting. Some will see with their inner eye, some will hear through their inner voice, and some will feel in their solar plexus. Whatever feels right to you is right. Then use your inner sense to invite Ariel to come. See her, hear her, and feel her presence. Then ask your question of her or just ask her for guidance. Sit quietly and wait for her to answer. You may see her speak to you, you may hear her talk to you, or you may just feel it answer that she sends, but she will send you information. The first thing that comes to you is her message to you. Trust yourself and be open and receive her wisdom." Cleo sat quietly with her eyes closed and followed Bacchus's words. It was amazing to feel so grounded and calm. A small smile rose on her face. "This feels really good," she thought. Bacchus said, "Yes, it does feel good. And you can do this anytime you want. It only takes 5 minutes, but the rewards are incredible." As Bacchus rose, Cleo opened her eyes and stood up. "Are you ready to continue our journey?" he asked. Cleo responded, "Yes, I am." Bacchus turned back to the path that they had followed to Ariel's mound and began to walk. Cleo followed. The path meandered through the woods for a short time and then opened into a large field. The field was covered in flowers, all kinds of flowers. The colors and the smells were breathtaking. There were flowers that Cleo knew well and others she had never seen before. Some were as tall as she was and seemed to be dancing in the breeze that blew their incredible fragrance to her. Some were bushes that were covered in blooms, and some spread across the ground like a carpet. There was every color of the rainbow before her, and she could not see the end of this magical flower garden. There was a soft song that seemed to be coming from nowhere, but it felt right to hear it as the background to this fabulous garden. Bacchus continued forward through the field as the path seemed to just appear before them. Up ahead, Cleo saw a small bench. It was just big enough for two and was woven in vines and flowers. They walked to the bench, and Bacchus nodded for Cleo to sit. Then, as if out of nowhere, thousands of butterflies began to appear. They were all different colors and sizes, and they flew from flower to flower, lighting only for a moment, then fluttering on to the next. The whole world was alive with movement everywhere, as the butterflies seemed to take all the space available. It was incredible. Cleo sat for a moment to take it all in. As she looked around at the unbelievable moving landscape, a monarch butterfly flew to her and landed on her hand. His colors were incredibly vibrant. His wings were all shades of orange with an outline of black. It started with a deep orange at the front edge and moved into lighter shades of orange and yellow toward the back. There were the most delicate black lines in his wings that formed little sections of colors and spots. His body was deep black with the tiniest white spots everywhere. He had two antennae on top of his head that moved in all directions as he sat quietly on Cleo's hand. As she looked closer, he smiled at her. "Oh my!" said Cleo, a little louder than she intended. Bacchus laughed a low, deep chuckle and said, "Cleo, this is Barachiel. He is bringing you blessings and good fortune." "Hello, Cleo," said Barachiel. In a soft, quick, lilty voice, he continued, "I'm so pleased to meet you and share this beautiful place with you. We are so blessed to have you here with us. We love that you have come to play among the flowers and the butterflies." Cleo smiled a big smile and laughed. "This is so amazing," she thought. Bacchus said, "Yes, butterflies are amazing. They love to have fun. They help us remember to play and enjoy our adventures and to appreciate all that is beautiful in the world." Cleo nodded in agreement. Bacchus continued, "Cleo, did you know that your amazing journey is a lot like the butterfly? Right now, you are in a cocoon, safe and warm, but transforming into something completely different. You're learning a new way of being, and soon you will be ready to leave the cocoon and spread your wings and fly. You don't know how yet, and you don't have to know. It will come to you at the right time, and you will remember that you have always been the butterfly. You will know when you are ready to soar." "Yes," said Barachiel. "I didn't know what was happening to me only a few short days ago, but I changed from a caterpillar into this most magnificent form. As a caterpillar, I could only see things from the ground, and it was very limited. But when I transformed into a butterfly, I could go anywhere I wanted and see things from a whole new perspective. And I discovered that there are so many different and beautiful flowers to choose from. I only had to see what was available to be able to soar." And as Barachiel was speaking, hundreds of rose petals began falling from the sky and scattered all around Cleo. "See," Barachiel continued, "look at the rose petals everywhere. They smell so good. It's like honey sweet, but fruity and spicy too. And they are so beautiful, just like you, Cleo." Cleo stopped smiling and reached her free hand up to her forehead to feel the scar. "Oh, I'm not beautiful," she said. Barachiel didn't seem to hear her, but Bacchus looked over with a small smile and thought, "Oh, Cleo, you have no idea how beautiful you really are, but you will see." Barachiel continued speaking to Cleo. "So, Cleo, you must always remember to call Butterfly Spirit when you need a reminder to have more fun and joy in your life. When you want to stop and smell the roses, or when you're ready for your next big change. We are all here for you always, in every moment. You only need to ask for our help, and we will be there." And then Barachiel nodded his little head to Cleo and Bacchus and flew away to join the other butterflies. Bacchus turned to leave and motioned for Cleo to join him. She got up from the bench and began to make her way along with Bacchus. She had so many emotions flowing through her. She was so happy and peaceful when Barachiel was there with the beautiful flowers and the intoxicating smells and the mystery music. And then she quickly went to that place of self-doubt and self-pity. She felt like she didn't deserve anything this wonderful. Bacchus continued down the new path as Cleo followed. They walked silently for a while. As they came around the next bend in the path, a lovely stream appeared before them. There were large rocks spread all over where the water ebbed and flowed through them and over them. The rocks were smooth and flat and large enough to sit on out of the water. The gurgle of the stream was so peaceful and beautiful. It had a music of its own as it meandered along its way. The water was completely clear and carried subtle colors that seemed to change as the water moved from shallow to deep. There was a small pool at the base of one of the rock clusters, a deep blue color. Bacchus slowly moved to one of the rocks by the pool. It was the perfect place to sit and rest and enjoy the solitude of the stream. His body moved so fluidly as his shoulders eased up and down and his tail balanced his every step. He seemed to glide onto the rock effortlessly. Then he turned and looked at Cleo and nodded his head for her to come and join him on the rock. She took a short hop and almost landed right in the middle of the stream, but she caught herself and jumped over to the rock with Bacchus. They stood there for a moment and watched and listened to the water gently flow over the rocks. Bacchus said, "Cleo, why did you tell Barachiel that you were not beautiful?" Cleo was again surprised that Bacchus had heard her when it seemed that Barachiel had not. She was embarrassed to speak, and she reached up again to feel that scar on her forehead. She sighed and said, "Because I'm not beautiful. Look at this ugly scar on my face. I know that everyone sees it, even though I try and hide it. It's so huge, I hate it." Bacchus asked, "Do you remember how you got the scar?" Cleo said, "I was in a car accident many years ago. It was awful. My parents were driving and my little brother and me were in the back seat. We were hit head on by a drunk driver." Then she paused and looked down with tears in her eyes. Bacchus said, "I know that was devastating for you and your brother. Your parents died in that crash. You and your brother were injured. It was a lot for you to get through." Cleo looked up at Bacchus. She was surprised that he knew what happened. How is that possible that he knows all of this about me, she thought. "Cleo, it's time for your first lesson about life. There's a record of everything that has ever happened to you and to everyone else. It's called the Akashic Records, and it has been around forever. It records all your thoughts, your actions, and the events of your lifetimes. It's like the largest library you've ever seen. I can access the records and see what's happened to you in your life, but you can access the records as well. They're available to you anytime you want to see them." Cleo had no idea what Bacchus was talking about, but clearly he knew all about her somehow. This wasn't making any sense. Bacchus said, "Don't worry that you don't understand this now. You have so much to learn. For now, I just want to talk about your scar. Why do you think that it's ugly?" "Oh my gosh," Cleo shouted. "Just look at it. It's gross and huge and covers my whole forehead. I know it's the only thing people see when they look at me. I don't have a beautiful face like other people do. I wish I was more like the pretty people." Bacchus said, "Cleo, the first lesson for your journey is to know self-love. It is the most important lesson that you will learn because everything else flows from that. It's not about being conceited. It's about truly loving yourself for who you are. You are perfect. You could be nothing other than perfect. You will learn to see that outer beauty and inner beauty are the same thing. And when you can see that beauty inside and outside of you, you will feel your transformation begin. You went through a great trauma and parts of that haven't healed in you yet. And you still feel that trauma each time you see the scar. Or when you're angry and scared like you were this morning when you were almost hit by that car. Cleo flashed back to the morning near-death accident and felt queasy. Bacchus continued, I would like for you to do something for me. Cleo looked over at him with some apprehension, wondering what was coming next. I want you to lean over and look at yourself in the pool of water. Ugh, she thought, why do I need to do that? I know what I look like. Bacchus said, please do this. Lean over and tell me what you see. Cleo took a deep breath and leaned over the pool. She saw her reflection just like she thought she would. The scar seemed even bigger in the reflection. She could feel her gut cringe as she looked at herself. I'm ugly, she said. Can I stop now? Bacchus nodded his head in agreement. Then he asked, how do you think I see you, Cleo? She looked at Bacchus and slowly rolled her eyes. I don't know, she said. Bacchus said, I see your eyes. I see a beautiful soul reflected in your big brown eyes. I see your warm bronze skin and your big smile. I see your aura. You are perfect, and I can only see you that way, because that is the truth of you. Cleo shrugged off the comments like she always did because she knew better. You're just saying that to make me feel better, she said. No, I'm saying that because it is the only truth that can be so. Please do something else for me now. Gee, she thought, what now? Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. With a sigh, Cleo did as Bacchus asked. Now, feel my connection to you. Feel the love I have for you. Feel it in your heart. Feel the unconditional love. There is nothing that you could do or look like that would change my love for you. You are perfect. Cleo breathed in again and noticed that her heart seemed a little lighter. She took another breath and felt her chest expand and thought about Bacchus and what he said. The self-doubt wasn't gone, but it was less intense. Now imagine that I am your eyes. What you see is what I see. Cleo did. Now look at your reflection again. See it as I would see you. Cleo opened her eyes and looked into the pool. She smiled slightly, and for a brief moment she did see herself as Bacchus saw her. She saw her eyes seem to transform her face, as there was a new light coming from them. She saw a subtle glow all around her. The scar was still there, but it wasn't in her focus. She saw love. Bacchus was so pleased, his whiskers twitched as he grew a smile across his face. Then he said, now, can you say the words, I love you, to yourself, as you see yourself through my eyes? Cleo opened her mouth, but those words would not come. She closed her mouth and hung her head. I can't, she sighed. It's all right, Cleo. You took a step, and that's all you need to do. This is a one step at a time journey, and just be proud that you took your first step. Try not to judge yourself. All will come in time, I promise. Thank you for joining me. Have a fabulous day.